Today I'm here with Lieutenant Leslie Groves. How are you, Lieutenant?
I'm well, thank you.
Tell us your name and about your project.
My name is Lieutenant General Leslie R. Groves, and I am a United States Army Corps engineer. I was appointed to the head of the Manhattan Project, an American effort to research nuclear fission and how it can be used in a military context.
What were you guys trying to do or find?
Well, I can answer this question in two contexts, scientifically and politically. Scientifically, the goal was to further understand the process of nuclear fission and how we could use it in a military context through what we now know as the atomic bomb. Politically, U.S. intelligence had just received word that the German Nazi regime had already begun research on fission and was developing a nuclear weapon of their own. Out of fear and an abundance of caution, Franklin Delano Roosevelt had assembled a team of scientists and military to lead this project. I was made head of the project in September of 1942. The goal was to end the war. I knew as soon as I took on the position that I would stop at nothing until those Nazis had gotten a taste of their own medicine.
Where did the project or experiment occur?
The project and its experiments happened across the United States. Initial research for the project had begun in Columbia University and Manhattan in New York City. Obviously, this is where the name Manhattan Project came from. As the project grew in importance and became more time-sensitive, research had begun at other universities, such as the University of California, Berkeley, and the University of Chicago. Oak Ridge in Knoxville, Tennessee was a test site for the process of thermal diffusion. More large-scale reactors were built near Pasco, Washington. Of all these sites and more, one of the more notable was Los Alamos Laboratory in Los Alamos, New Mexico. This is where the project's first atom bombs were built and tested. In fact, the first successful detonation of an atom bomb took place nearby in Alamogordo, New Mexico, on July 16th in 1945. It was a sight to behold, let me tell you.
What other significant events are happening around the world at the time?
Well, if you hadn't figured this out already, and I don't know how you wouldn't have, World War II had just begun. Hitler's Nazi regime was becoming an increasingly terrifying threat. President Roosevelt had formed a team of scientists to conduct research, but after the Japanese attack at Pearl Harbor and the United States officially entering the war, it became a military operation. That is when my boys at the Army Corps of Engineers joined the team.
Who else was involved in the project?
The first to present the idea for this research was a scientist named G.B. Pegram of Columbia University. More notable figures such as Albert Einstein were also encouraged to join in this operation. President Roosevelt had formed the Advisory Committee on Uranium, which was comprised of scientists and military officials alike, to research uranium's military potential. This group later became known as the National Defense Research Committee. The Army Corps of Engineers had joined the operation in 1942 per the President's approval, and I was made head of the project shortly thereafter. I personally selected J. Robert Oppenheimer as leader of the Los Alamos Laboratory, which I mentioned earlier. Sure, the man was a commie, but I knew we were both understanding that the war had been declared in the United States, and our primary concern was the immediate need for a nuclear weapon. Plus, he's a hell of a lot nicer than I am, and those guys needed that.
What was your role in this project?
Well, as I mentioned, I was the leader of the Manhattan Project as of September 1942. I was over everything from the scientific processes and construction of facilities to security and military intelligence. Basically, I was the heart of the operation. The most important man there, if you will.
What impact did your project have on the physics community?
American scientists involved in the Manhattan Project had conducted the most extensive research on nuclear fission of their time. The research had become the launching pad for future development of nuclear reactors, power generators, MRI machines, and much more. Our new understanding of nuclear radiation and the processes involved has not only answered questions, but caused us to ask many more. Nuclear radiation is still being heavily monitored and researched today.
Why do you think a military man such as yourself was appointed head of the operation and not an acclaimed scientist?
Well, these scientists weren't the kind of guys who knew how to lead a military operation. You gotta have guts, a clear head, and a no-nonsense way about things. Because of the war and the looming threat of nuclear attack, we didn't have the luxury of time. Scientists always feel the need to find every possible answer to every possible question. Military officials like myself, however, understand that efficiency is everything. The enemy won't wait till you're ready to drop a bomb on you. I knew that we needed to get a working bomb as fast as possible, and I wasn't going to let some guy in a lab coat boss me around. That's why I was the guy for the job.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us, Lieutenant.
It's been an honor.